So today I wanted to talk about hourly rates. Is your hourly rate correct? And do you know if it's correct? I know when I started, I just guessed what my hourly rate should be, kind of picked something that I thought I wanted that would make me enough money. And even though I've been doing this about 6 years, it's something I still continue to somewhat struggle with, admittedly. And I think that your hourly rate is something I've learned that does fluctuate. It's not something that the client is necessarily aware of, because as for me, most everything I do is a flat rate and not an hourly rate. So the client doesn't know that I'm changing my hourly rates. But the reason why my hourly rate changes is because of how I figure out my hourly rate. Let me know in the comments if you guys have an hourly rate, if you struggle with knowing if your hourly rate is correct, or just if you'd like more insight on figuring out an hourly rate that allows you to be profitable and not just make money to get by and pay the bills. A simple breakdown of that is knowing first what your expenses are. What does it cost for you to run the business on a monthly basis? How much do you want to take home? That is pretty big. You know, if you've got $3,000 in monthly fixed bills, or just overall, or $5,000, you need to know that so that you know that you're making enough money. It seems pretty simple, and it is something that's hard to figure out and be confident in. But I think that being confident in your rates, in your pricing estimates, that's going to come through when you talk to your clients, even on a subconscious level. And the result of that is getting more jobs. So know your expenses, both personal and business. And then the big thing is, are you working 40 hours a week? Because I know I never have worked 40 hours a week unless it's been like a long project, maybe a bathroom remodel or something like that. But even then, there's a lot of office work. So you need to try to determine your billable hours per week, per month, per day, whatever it is. How many hours are you actually billing on a regular basis? I think a couple years ago, I somehow had figured out about how many billable hours I worked a day over the course of the year, and it only came out to about 3.5 billable hours a day. That's not very much, but when you have to do office work, when you have to be in the field, you have to prepare taxes or whatever you have to do, that's just part of being a business owner, but you're not necessarily getting paid for those hours that you put in. So knowing your billable hours is very crucial, even for setting a goal. Maybe you want to work at least 4 billable hours a day, which puts you at 20 billable hours a week, and that's 80 a month. So add your expenses, how many billable hours. I think there's 21.83 working days in a month on average, and you just run the numbers and you'll come up with an hourly rate. And I know it's not a clearly laid out formula, but that's the gist of getting close to what is acceptable. And not only that, if you want to be profitable, if you have $5,000 in bills every month and you run the numbers so that you're making $5,000 take home, you have to think about the company, because the company, no matter how you're structured or whatever that looks like, it needs to be profitable, whether that's 20%, 40%, 30%, whatever. You want to add that on. Say you want to get decals on your truck. Is that going to come out of your personal expense? If you want to get hats or t-shirts or buy a new tool or something, someone's got to pay for that, and I'd rather have the business pay for it and have that put in my cost for my clients. Last thing I'll say is, if you can keep track, if you're not already, keep track of how many billable hours you're actually currently working or have worked. That's going to be very beneficial in helping you understand what you're capable of, what your capacity is. Not only that, you want to look at each job, what you estimated it for, and what the actual numbers came out when you were finished with the job. How many hours did it take you? What was your material cost? Were you over or under your estimate? Keeping that data is going to give you really good insight on whether you're charging enough, not charging enough, profitable, losing money. So you know, it seems like basic stuff. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but it doesn't matter. It's very important if you want to be profitable, if you want to come out ahead each month or each week. These are things that you really need to look at. They're things that I constantly look at. If there's anything I left out, leave a comment below. You know, let me know, are you guys having trouble with your hourly rate? You're super confident in it. How do you find your hourly rate? I think it'd be helpful for others to kind of see your process or what you're charging, because we're not competing with each other. I mean, we're all in this together, and I want us to share what we know and our experiences with each other so we can help each other to grow in our industry, in our business. Cool. All right. Well, I will see you guys in the next one.